May 15, 2022, Sunday night, the most embarrassing, humiliating, pathetic Game 7 that we have seen in the playoffs. Absolutely shocking, jaw-dropping, speechless, down by as many as 47 points. There was one time in the third quarter that I thought Luka Doncic was going to single-handedly outscore Phoenix by himself. That's how bad the game was. So thank you guys for tuning in today. Wilson Sai here. You guys new to this channel, hit the subscribe button if you want more live reaction videos, or give me a follow on Twitter at WilsonSide93. I tweet a lot of cool NBA facts. But with that said, the 2022 Phoenix Suns, a big absolute failure of a travesty at all levels. Chris Paul, CP0, absolutely disgraceful, shamefully pathetic. CP0, pathetic, absolutely disgusting, despicable. This is astonishing, jaw-dropping. And Devin Booker, the Kardashian curse is real. He got absolutely destroyed and eaten alive by Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic ate Devin Booker's dinner, and Booker might never be the same. That was as bad as an humiliation as I has ever seen. D-Book's trying to talk shit. He got his shit destroyed by Luka Doncic. Absolutely destroyed. DeAndre Ayton, #1 pick, played like Anthony Bennett out there. He was soft. DeAndre Ayton was so bad, he was just as bad as Game 7 Festus Ezeli in the 2016 finals. My God. And Monty Williams, outcoached by Jason Kidd. Phoenix Suns never in the fucking game. They got absolutely cooked and destroyed. Devin Booker is not a top 10 player in the NBA. He proved that he doesn't have the mental toughness. All that Mamba mentality. Where the fuck was the Mamba mentality tonight, Devin Booker? You got destroyed by Jalen Brunson, destroyed by Spencer Dinwiddie, destroyed by Luka Doncic, couldn't handle the pressure, melted. CP3? What happened? This is so bad. This is just as bad as the 2020 Clippers bubble meltdown. No, it's actually worse than the Clippers. You know why? Because Phoenix was at home. They won 12 more games than the Dallas Mavericks with only one superstar on that team, one all-star. And Phoenix got absolutely clobbered and destroyed. Luka Doncic, same amount of points as Phoenix in the entire first half. How the hell do you score 27 fucking first half points? This is so embarrassing. This Phoenix Suns team, 64 wins. They are the worst 64 win team of all time. Yeah, I said it, of all time. Worst 64 win teams. This is so embarrassing and disgusting. This meltdown, this Phoenix Suns team, even worse than the 2015 Atlanta Hawks. At least that Hawks team made it to the conference finals. This Phoenix Suns team got blown out the gym by 33 points. It honestly should have been 53 points because of all that fourth quarter garbage points. It shouldn't even count. They should be ashamed of themselves. And man, I don't see this Phoenix Suns team recovering. Chris Paul just turned 37 years old, and he just doesn't have it. No legs in this game. Where's the fire competitiveness? Where's the heart? Where's the hunger? They got smoked. After they got smoked by like 15, early on, double digits, and then the lead went to like 27, and then they got ugly, and then 30 plus, and they didn't do shit about it. They got punked by the 23-year-old Slovenian prodigy who just took a dump all over the Phoenix Suns, all over the valley on the court, and the Suns ain't do no damn shit about it. Embarrassing for the Phoenix Suns. This is absolutely embarrassing. After losing in the finals to losing like this, I mean, the Phoenix Suns made Giannis Antetokounmpo last season and Luka Doncic this season. They played like they were the best player all time out there. That's how the Phoenix Suns was so pathetic. They couldn't do anything. And DeAndre Ayton, what the hell? DeAndre Ayton, Phoenix Suns, despite the regular season success the last 2 seasons, all that shit don't matter. You know why? Because Luka Doncic just annihilated this franchise. It's almost as bad as how Michael Jordan haunted them and John Paxson in the 93 finals. Luka Doncic, at this point going forward, has all the confidence. I won't be shocked if the Phoenix Suns for the last 5 seasons, for the next 5 seasons, loses to Dallas multiple times in the playoffs. Devin Booker, no chance. Nowhere near as good as Luka. No way in hell. I mean, they're not even on the same level. It's really crazy how Kawhi Leonard, like last season in the playoffs, Kawhi Leonard, I mean, Luka was taking a shit all over the Clippers. He took Patrick Beverley out the game. But you know what happened? When the Dallas was up 3-2 and Luka was just having an amazing series, Kawhi Leonard responded and scored 45 points in Game 6 and was like, take that, Luka. And you know what happened in Game 7? Kawhi Leonard had 28 big points, and Reggie Jackson was amazing out there. Last year, it's Reggie Jackson was better than what Chris Paul is this postseason. This is actually the worst loss. This is actually just as bad as the 2015 meltdown against Houston for CP3, leading his team so successfully in the regular season, just to get punked and annihilated like this and ran out the fucking gym. Are you kidding me? This is such a bad look on CP3's resume and legacy. Like, it's almost tarnished in a way. How's he gonna recover from this unless he's gonna join some superstar teammates like those old guys to team up, because he can't beat these young guys anymore. He got absolutely shit on by Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic annihilated, destroyed Chris Paul. And you know what? Luka Doncic, if he's able to win a championship this season, and Luka Doncic 2 years from now, Luka in 2 seasons will be better all time than Chris Paul. And he's already on his way there because Luka just annihilated the Phoenix Suns so badly. This is really bad. This reminds me of Michael Jordan in the 93 finals when he humiliated that franchise and averaged 41 points. This reminds me of Kobe Bryant in 2010 in Game 6. And at least that Phoenix Suns team played with heart and they played great defense. And this Phoenix Suns team, I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie, he looked like Steph Curry out there. And Jalen Brunson was just bulldozing through CP3. He made CP and Devin Booker look like midgets, like they never lifted a weight before because they look physically weak against Dallas. Dallas's defense, I give a lot of credit to them. Jason Kidd, a hell of a job. And they just bullied the shit out of the Phoenix Suns. They absolutely bullied them. This Phoenix Suns team is so bad. In Game 7, they look like the worst team of all time. Like, how the hell do you win 64 games and get beat this badly at home in a Game 7 when you have championship aspirations like this? This Phoenix Suns team, they don't even look like a real NBA team. This Phoenix Suns team, the 2019 Phoenix Suns team would have put up a better fight than this Phoenix Suns team. I couldn't tell the difference between this Phoenix Suns team today and the 2012 Bobcats, who had the worst records in NBA history. And I'm sure that 7-win Bobcat team can put up a better fight than this pathetic Phoenix Suns team. Absolutely pathetic. You talk all that shit to Luka Doncic and you can't back it up and you just get destroyed and annihilated. This is the first time that I've seen in any playoff game. There should have been a mercy rule. There should have been a mercy rule because this Phoenix Suns team was losing so bad. They should have just tapped out in the third quarter. Literally would have tapped out. And this is also a big absolute travesty to Chris Paul. Because you know what? As great as Chris Paul is, like throughout his career, of course, not taking anything away from his accomplishments, but Chris Paul has known to blow 2-0 leads. He's blown it 5 times in the playoffs. 5 fucking times. And you know what? Chris Paul's team got humiliated in the 2009 first round series. I believe it was Game 4 to the Denver Nuggets when he lost by 58 points. And you know what? If Luka Doncic would have continued playing, this Phoenix Suns team might have lost by 58 in Game 7. So Chris Paul got beat in the worst postseason blowout all time. He lost by 58 points in 2009. And Game 7, he lost by 33. Should have honestly been 43. The worst Game 7 loss was Houston to Dallas in 2005 when they lost by 40. But this is absolutely up there. This is worse. Because back then, that Houston team, they weren't considered real legit contenders. This is a 64-win team we're talking about. So this is absolutely embarrassing and disgraceful by the Phoenix Suns. This is so bad. I was thinking that Steve Nash right now at 48 years old could suit up for that Suns team, and they wouldn't have gotten beat by so much. Chris Paul looked like for the first time that he's washed. This is in my opinion the worst game that Chris Paul's played in the playoffs. This has to be his worst game. It's absolutely terrible. And all the players should be held accountable. And Jay Crowder acting all hot shit and just chilling and all that and just being too complacent and relaxed and saying like, oh, I'm going to get my nails done. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to chill to the arena. Game 7. Oh, it's whatever. And you know what happened tonight, Jay Crowder? Jay Crowder, 5 points. 5 fucking points. 2 of 9 shooting for Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder, he does talk all that shit, but he was absolutely shit this whole game and this series too. It's absolutely embarrassing, man. I mean, Chris Paul's legacy was elevated so highly last season, and this season, it's going downhill. It's going downhill. From James Harden to Chris Paul going downhill. I mean, two of the worst in this postseason. Honestly, I mean, for Chris Paul, in my opinion, I mean, he deserves to get bashed for playing this terribly all time, man. Man, and this is only the third. This is only the third worst thing that happened. So Chris Paul is the top three worst thing that melted down this whole entire week. Chris Paul was number 3 on my list. James Harden was number 2 because they both play like shit and they both quit. And Terra Luna's number 1. So my God, this is absolutely terrible. The Phoenix Suns absolutely big pretenders. Mikal Bridges, oh, so-called defensive player of the year. What happened today? You know what happened? Luka Doncic dropped 35 on the Phoenix Suns, and the Suns ain't do shit about it because Luka is just so special. He just annihilated this franchise so badly. I don't see the Phoenix Suns recovering. I really don't. I mean, whatever happens to the Suns next season, DeAndre Ayton's probably going to be gone, and CP3 is going to be 38 years old, man. And Chris Paul's not going to have some of these great games because he's going to head to his 18th season, I believe, and he's got a lot of mileage on his body. But where the hell was Devin Booker tonight? Where the hell was D-Books? Devin Booker was just as bad as Ben Simmons out there. My God, 3 of 14 from the field, the biggest game of your life. 11 points. Most of it was in the second half. I don't think he scored a bucket until the third quarter of the game when it was already over. And you know what was the worst stat about Devin Booker tonight? D-Books was a minus 41. A minus 41. Can you believe that shit? That's absolutely disgusting and terrible. Devin Booker, a minus 41. I mean, in a game 7, it doesn't get any worse than this. And this reminds me of Devin Booker's teams like the Phoenix Suns. Many question about Devin Booker. Can he be a good player on a winning team? Because he was losing a shit ton of games his first 3 seasons. And this was one of those Phoenix Suns games that reminds me of like the years 2017, 2018, and 2019, where they just got slapped so badly at this point. Devin Booker minus 41 in front of Dirk Nowitzki, who was watching that game in Phoenix. How about that? How about that? Dirk Nowitzki wore number 41. It's absolutely embarrassing by the Phoenix Suns. This is just so bad of a meltdown. And CP3, he's just not good enough as a scorer to just take over and take command. I think Jose Alvarado got into his head, and CP3 looked like he aged about like 10 years after that Pelicans series. Because I thought the Suns, they didn't take the Pelicans as serious enough and whatnot. New Orleans gave them a fight. And the first 6 games of this series was a blowout. I thought Phoenix was going to win today probably by like a 7-point game. But no, they got destroyed by like 57. My God, this is so embarrassing. So Chris Paul, these playoffs, he was shit for the most part. James Harden's been shit. Kevin Durant's been shit against Boston. And Kyrie Irving was shit too. So a lot of these NBA players, they're getting up there with age. Kyrie Irving just turned 30 years old. James Harden's going to be 33. Chris Paul's 37. And Kevin Durant's going to be 34. A lot of these old guys, man, I mean, these young guys just destroyed them. And look at how good Jason Tatum's been. And look at how good Luka Doncic has been. Those guys, absolutely sensational going to the conference finals. This was an absolute beatdown. This was atrocious. It was disgusting. It was an atrocity by the Phoenix Suns. And CP3 and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton will get a lot of the blame for this. DeAndre Ayton wanting all his money. How much? He still wants the max extension. He wants to get the max contract with a performance like this that was so bad. Get the hell out of here with that shit. He was so bad. He went 2 of 5 from the field. He had 5 points, and he got shit on by Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic made DeAndre Ayton look like a boy out there because Luka was just backing him down, doing the Dirk fadeaway on him. Dirk fadeaway, and Luka was just toying like with DeAndre Ayton like he was a foot shorter. So Doncic just humiliated him. And the fact that the Phoenix Suns took DeAndre Ayton over Luka Doncic in the 2018 NBA drafts, that might be the biggest regret of the franchise history all time. Because how do you recover from that? Because the Suns, yeah, CP3 brought in some great regular season success. They made the finals. But Luka Doncic just absolutely shit on that franchise. He absolutely just destroyed them. And you know what? Luka Doncic, he's one of the 3 best players in the NBA. I must say, there is no doubt about that. Like, in terms of the all-time greats, Luka Doncic really has a chance to be as good as Larry Bird. And I'm not trying to sound anything crazy or be ahead of myself because Luka has been unstoppable. You just can't stop the guy. Mikal Bridges was helpless out there. I mean, Luka, he was scoring, backing up backing down on DeAndre Ayton. Every time CP got switched on him, CP looked like a midget out there compared to Luka Doncic. Like Chris Paul was playing defense as bad as Isaiah Thomas, 5'9" Isaiah Thomas when he was a little older. So that's how good Luka Doncic has been. And Jalen Brunson literally muscled the hell out of Chris Paul. And there was nothing CP3 could have done about that. It was just an absolute terrible effort. Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, my God. Is this it for the Phoenix Suns, though, in the CP3, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton era? Are they going to be finished? How are they going to recover? Who's going to come back to the team next year? Are the CP3 Laker rumor talks intensifying? Because he was playing like shit in these playoffs, man. Where was the effort tonight? I mean, it's just an embarrassing all-around effort in Game 7. Like, he just didn't fucking show up. He didn't show up. I mean, when you're one of the favorites to win a championship and you won 64 games in the regular season and then you lose by this much, they could have lost by 64 tonight. My God, that was so terrible. This is so bad. It's disgusting. Losing like this, losing in the second round to a Dallas Mavericks team that only had Luka Doncic as a star, but CP3 got outplayed by Jalen Brunson. He got outplayed by Luka Doncic. And even Devin Booker in some ways got outplayed by Jalen Brunson, talking all that shit to Luka when he's up. But guess what? He got slapped in Game 6, slapped in Game 7, double digits blowouts. This is two of the worst Phoenix Suns game I ever seen, back-to-back ways from the CP3 and Devin Booker era. And I honestly don't see them ever recovering from this. I don't see the Phoenix Suns being a legit threat for the next couple of years because CP3 is getting older. Devin Booker is not as good as the Jason Tatums or the Doncic. He's nowhere close to their level. He's more like, I would say Devin Booker's a little better than Donovan Mitchell, like a top 15 type guy, but Devin Booker's not a top 10 player, and he hasn't shown that yet. Luka Doncic is a top 3 player. Devin Booker literally played like shit, and Doncic literally, the younger 23-year-old Doncic literally shit on him so badly. They didn't even belong on the court together. They really didn't, man. They really didn't. And yeah, don't ever compare or mention Devin Booker's name next to Kobe Bryant, because the player that's closest to Kobe today, I would have to say Jason Tatum. He has it. Jason Tatum has proven himself again how great he's been. Devin Booker, not so much. Devin Booker got locked up. He got eaten alive, and he talked all that shit when he was up. But you know what? Shit on by Doncic twice. Just a terrible way for Chris Paul to end the season. Just as bad as 2019 when CP3 was with Harden and Kevin Durant went down when they couldn't beat Golden State. I thought that was Chris Paul's window. I thought his window was closing then, but then he kind of reinvented himself and he was a good leader in the regular season. But in the playoffs, man, in the playoffs especially, the last couple of games against Milwaukee, CP3 felt the pressure, and CP3, because he's a small player and he's always the smallest guy on the court, he can't handle certain things physically going up against the bigger, stronger guys. Like, he's just gonna get worn down. And that's what happened in this series with the Dallas Mavericks. Like, Jalen Brunson's a pretty big point guard. Brunson's like 6'3". He probably weighs like close to 220, and he was just bulldozing CP inside. And Drew Holiday's a pretty big point guard too. Holiday really made Chris Paul melt last season. Drew Holiday's a big physical point guard, and he's the best defensive point guard in this generation. So, like, CP3 just can't do anything to withstand those physicalities. So it's just tough for Chris Paul. Like, this is probably his last real shot to win a title as one of the key players on his team, because I still see him becoming pretty good next season, but he's just not going to be as effective. And there's just some games that you can't count on Chris Paul to score 30 points. Some games he might score like 6 points and be ineffective. This game is worse than the Philadelphia 76ers, in my opinion, because at least for Philly, Joel Embiid was banged up. He had bad concussions. He was just like getting hurt, hit in the face a lot. And you could see Joel Embiid, like, he really shouldn't have been playing out there. He wanted to play, so at least Joel Embiid tried. So, but this Phoenix Suns team, they lost at home to a Dallas Mavericks team. And even if Joel Embiid was healthy for the Sixers, Miami still would have been the slight favorite in that series anyway. So it was not much of a surprise that Miami was able to beat the Sixers. They still might have beaten Philly if Embiid was fully healthy, but this Phoenix Suns was the clear favorite against this Dallas Mavericks team. And the way how they lost like this was just so embarrassing. It's something that's gonna haunt the franchise for a very long time. Like you just lose like this, you just get destroyed. There's no competitiveness. Where was the fire? I mean, where was the toughness by the Phoenix Suns? Jay Crowder, Mr. Tough Guy. Where's his toughness been this game or lack thereof? He was hiding out there. Too bad. Just way too bad. It's a terrible situation. And to be honest, a lot of people really criticized the Suns last season, saying they had an easy trip to make the finals. And a lot of people are just going to remind the Suns about that because, in some ways, it is true. Last season, they played great in the playoffs. They did whatever they had to do to make the finals because of all those injuries and because of being a COVID season, like out the bubble. I mean, the Clippers did not have Kawhi Leonard. And you know what happened? The Clippers won 2 games against the Phoenix Suns without their best player. And if they had Kawhi Leonard, there was no doubt in my mind that they would have beaten Phoenix because Kawhi Leonard fought against Luka Doncic and outplayed Doncic in some of the biggest moments last season. And the Phoenix Suns had no answers at all for Luka. None whatsoever. None. And also the Phoenix Suns, Jamal Murray, and they swept Jokic's Nuggets. And yeah, the Lakers were injured, but the Suns really beat them badly. The Suns beat the shit out of the Lakers last postseason, so I'm not even going to try to excuse Anthony Davis's injury because the Lakers, they were kind of dysfunctional last season as well. While the Clippers, they put up some fight against the Suns. They really did. And they almost could have won like game 2. Like CP was out with COVID the first 2 games, and it was really close. But that Clipper team, they were not that talented in the conference finals. And because of all those injuries that happened last season, the Phoenix Suns 2021 success, has it been shattered a little bit? Absolutely. No doubt about that. I mean, people are not going to look at it the same, especially losing 4 fucking straight games. 4 straight games they lost to Milwaukee in the finals, and Giannis played the best game of his life in game 6. And Phoenix had no answers for that. So the Suns might be a good regular season defensive team, but what happened in the playoffs? Luka Doncic just torched them in every way imaginable. Like, can you picture this? Luka had 35 points tonight. He had one of his best shooting games. He only needed 30 minutes to play. 12 of 19 shooting. Jalen Brunson had 24 points. Spencer Dinwiddie had 30 points today. Spencer Dinwiddie. And that was the biggest addition for Dallas this season. So if you look at all the trade deadlines for this season, the Dallas Mavericks, I would officially say, are the biggest winners of this trade deadline. Getting rid of Kristaps no-show Porzingis for Dinwiddie to have a closeout game like this against the best regular season team, to score 30 points in the playoffs like this in the biggest game of his life. Kudos to Spencer Dinwiddie for absolutely just destroying, abusing, and annihilating the Phoenix Suns, giving them no hope whatsoever. This is just absolutely embarrassing by Phoenix. Just straight up embarrassing. And Chris Paul should be embarrassed right now by his lackluster performance. My God. I mean, one of the biggest losers in the 2022 postseason. Like, some of these great moments just leads to this and just being cursed. And my God, it's just so bad. Like, Luka Doncic was one of the most hyped up international prospects. And he was one of the best Europeans, like, hyped up. And the fact that he was a 3rd overall pick, to make it sound so silly. Like, DeAndre Ayton's a pretty solid player, but he's not an all-star. He's not going to be a superstar, I don't think. Like, DeAndre Ayton's got to really improve his game, but I can see him being like a top 35 player, but I don't think he will ever be like a top 15 guy. And Marvin Bagley, man, picked over Luka Doncic. My God. I mean, the Sacramento Kings franchise, oh, they stink so bad. That's just embarrassing. That's going to go down worse than Darko picked ahead of Melo and D Wade. It's really that bad because Luka Doncic is a generational talent, and he's proving why that he's one of the 3 best players in the game. And Luka Doncic even has a case on becoming the best player in the game. If people want to put him ahead of Giannis, I don't blame them, honestly, because Luka, he's been sensational. And Luka Doncic right now, what he's doing at 23 years old, I think I might have to go with Luka Doncic being better than 23-year-old LeBron. Because Luka Doncic, against a 64-win team, winning like that on the road and being by far the best player in the game and making the Suns center like look so average out there. Like this Phoenix Suns team, they didn't even look like an NBA team. Luka with all that international experience, the Suns looked like an international team that was soft, that was complacent, that was nervous, that was overwhelmed. And they just destroyed them. Luka Doncic, what he's doing at 23 years old is absolutely insane and nothing short of spectacular. I mean, it's just incredible. The rise of Luka Doncic is one of the best players in the game, and I do think that for the next 10 years, Luka Doncic is probably going to be better than Giannis, in my opinion. I do think that right now it's pretty close, but Giannis in his prime. Luka Doncic is only 23 years old, and because he's 23, he beat a 64-win team. With him being the lone All-Star on that team, it's just absolutely incredible. Like Luka leading this team to 52 wins, and yeah, they had some struggles. And for those haters that want to shit on Luka because before this playoffs he didn't make it past the first round. Look at the teams he was playing, though. Look at who he was playing, and don't ever compare Luka Doncic to Trae Young. And although Trae Young's a great player too, Luka Doncic is miles above Trae Young, and it's not even a debate. It's not even a debate. It's super lopsided. It's like how they're both coming in the same draft class. There was a debate between LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony. It's the same thing as Luka Doncic versus Trae Young because Luka is that much better. And although Trae Young is a great player and he's already had some postseason success already, what Luka Doncic has been doing in Game 7, man, it's just unbelievable. It's unreal. And he's going to go down as one of the very best all time. Luka on his way to being a top 10 player all time. Like if he gets like 8-10 more seasons in, that's how good he is. And don't ever blame Luka Doncic for some playoff disappointments. He lost to the Clipper team with Kawhi and Paul George, where they were supposed to be championship favorites. I mean, the Clippers was the favorites in 2020. There's no shame in losing to that team. The fact that Luka Doncic won 2 games for Dallas and hit a game winner in Game 4 over Reggie Jackson's face just show how great Luka was. He already had multiple 40-plus point games. And last season, and Luka Doncic, the fact that he was up like 2-0 and then 3-2 to that team with Kawhi Leonard, who's also one of the best players in the league, and for Luka and Kawhi to go back and forth. Kawhi's second best player last season was Paul George. Luka's second best player last season was Kristaps no-show Porzingis. And Jalen Brunson last postseason averaged like 5 points a game. And the fact that the Clippers also have Paul George and Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson and a better coach in Ty Lue. I do think Ty Lue's a better coach than Rick Carlisle. And that's why the Clippers beat Dallas. But Luka averaged 35 points in that series. So don't ever blame Luka for some of those playoff disappointments. It wasn't playoff disappointments. Don't ever blame him for losing to the Clippers because he's proven he can single-handedly beat a 64-win team. He beat a 64-win team being the lone all-star on his team. LeBron James in 2008, obviously his team wasn't that good too, but LeBron James in 2008, he couldn't beat the 66-win Celtics. He couldn't. LeBron James in 2006, he lost to the 64-win Pistons, and he got blown out in Game 7. But Luka Doncic just took the game right out the gates from start to finish and just destroyed the Suns. He gave Phoenix zero chance in this game. Zero chance. When he just came into the game and just hit a couple step-back jumpers, Luka Doncic never kept it going. He never took the gas off the metal, and Luka just destroyed Phoenix like that, and he gave that team no hope. That's how great Luka Doncic is, being able to dominate a game. And yeah, I'm going to give Luka Doncic all the praises in the world because he's incredible. Dirk passed the torch to Luka. I do think that Luka Doncic, he's a better basketball player than Dirk Nowitzki was. And I love Dirk Nowitzki. He's arguably a top 20 player all time. But Luka Doncic has way more skill. Luka Doncic is almost like, he's pretty much LeBron caliber level when he was this age, to be honest. That's how great Luka Doncic was. Luka is just sensational. Like, he's by far the best player in the draft. And guys that are under 25, Luka Doncic is number 1 and Jason Tatum's number 2. Those guys might be a good rivalry. Can you imagine if this finals, if it's Luka Doncic versus Jason Tatum for the 2022 finals? You know how amazing that would be? That would be absolutely incredible. Melo plus CP3 plus LeBron, they still ain't winning no title. That's too bad. They're too old. They're too old. Chris Paul playing shitty games like this, my God. I mean, if the Suns would have started Cameron Payne, I don't think they would have lost that bad because Cameron Payne was at least not scared to take shots. He's really not. And Chris Paul was just shit all game. This is the worst loss of his career. I mean, he had the worst postseason beatdown when he lost by 58 to Denver in 2009. He got locked up by Chauncey Billups. And now Jalen Brunson and Dinwiddie giving a taste of his own medicine. My God. My God. LeBron going to try for another what? Teaming up with all those players and begging? Because Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics, they earned it the hard way. They took no shortcuts. And that's why they're in the conference finals. Luka Doncic, he earned it the hard way. He performed in all those games against the Phoenix Suns. Jason Kidd called out Luka for his lack of defense after game one because the Suns were picking on Luka. And you know what happened? Luka Doncic accepted that challenge, and Luka took it upon himself to be competitive and not back down. And that's what champions do. That's what winners do. That's what separates good players from great players. And that's what separates great players from all-time great players. Because Luka was getting destroyed in game one by Booker and Paul, and then Luka had his work cut out for him, and Jason Kidd's like, hey, Luka, they destroying you. You gotta take that. You gotta let that happen to you, Doncic. You know you're the best player in the series, right? So you know what happened? Luka Doncic responded, accepted that challenge, and destroyed both CP3 and Devin Booker at the same time. Both of them could have been guarding him at the same time, and Luka Doncic would have still scored every single time. That's how locked in Luka was. After losing the first two games in blowouts like that, what if it was like guys like weak-minded like Ben Simmons? If Ben Simmons was getting destroyed, he would have probably sat out and made an excuse about his back and cried like a baby. While Luka Doncic accepted that challenge because he knows what it takes to be great. He's one of the toughest players. Although Doncic can get a little rowdy and although he might get some technical fouls and scream at the refs, Luka Doncic is tough. Luka Doncic is a winner. Luka Doncic, incredible, just an incredible talent. And people were making fun of him for getting out of shape to start the season. But you know what happened midseason? Luka got in shape. You know what happened when Dallas got rid of the distracted Kristaps, inconsistent Porzingis? Dallas had one of the two best defenses in the league. And you know what also resonates this postseason? Two of the best defensive teams in the second half, the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. Not the most talented teams, not the most. A lot of the people had them losing in the first round, but those two teams, they're in the conference finals because of their defense, their overall team defense, and their willingness to fight. So kudos to Jason Kidd and Ime Udoka as head coaches in their first seasons with their respective teams. Jason Kidd already better than Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle wouldn't have pulled this off for Dallas. There's just no way he would have. I mean, Jason Kidd's able to really reinvent himself. Everyone was bashing him for a lousy job he was doing with Milwaukee and whatnot and didn't like his offense because Jason Kidd's a great defensive coach. You see Jason Kidd, how he communicated with his team. Jason Kidd looked like he wanted to play out there. He was going like this, like, come on, rotate. Jason Kidd, he was a great leader. And Jason Kidd was a big winner too when he was playing, he was able to lead his team in the finals, and he was one of the best defensive players in his generation too. And he has everybody playing defense, and Luka Doncic is playing defense. So one of the biggest knock on Doncic early in his career was his defensive abilities. Is he too slow? Is he too unathletic? But once Jason Kidd has Luka playing defense and playing tough and having that strong attitude, I mean, Luka Doncic is just so special. I mean, he's going to go down as one of the greats. I mean, he could go down as better than Kevin Durant and Steph Curry. Probably not better than LeBron because LeBron is just behind MJ in my opinion. But Luka Doncic can really go down better than some of the players today. But it's going to take a lot of work for him, and there's no doubt he has that attitude. Luka Doncic at 23 years old, man. There's not many 23 years olds in the league that ever came that was as good as Luka. The only guys I can really think of is like Michael Jordan, Kareem Jabbar, and Tim Duncan, maybe Shaq or Kobe or those guys. But Luka Doncic at 23 years old, man, he's just incredible to see. So with that, who do I have to win the finals? I have Boston against Golden State, and I think that's gonna go 7. I think that's gonna go 7. It's been 6 years since there was a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. 6 long years. So I do believe that we're gonna be due for a Game 7 this time around. Because 2016 Cleveland Golden State, and before that, it was 3 seasons apart. 2013, and before that, it was 3 seasons apart in 2010. And before that, it was 5 years apart in 2005. And so with that, and before that, I believe it was 94 Houston versus New York. Well, I got a pretty good memory. I can just name them on top of my head without looking at anything. That's how passionate I am about the NBA. So there's a 6-year drought of a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. I do believe that we're due for this one this year, but don't get your hopes up too highly. I do believe that it'll be Boston and Golden State, in my opinion. If Luka leads his team to the finals at age 23 and beats Golden State with Steph, Clay, and Draymond, dude, that would be absolutely just insane. That would be one of the biggest carry jobs to the finals since LeBron James in 2018. And it would be more impressive than LeBron. You know why? Because Luka Doncic, I mean, he beat a Utah team that a year ago they had the best regular season overall record, and he beat a 64-win team. And if he's able to beat Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, a championship caliber Golden State, that would be some of the hardest competition Luka Doncic will face if he gets to the finals. If he wins it this year, my God, he would do something that not even MJ, LeBron, or even some of the all-time great has accomplished at his age with a team that's not as talented as the rest. So Luka Doncic is just so amazing to watch. He's almost like basketball magic. And I said no wrong when I compare Luka as a Magic Johnson's hybrid, Larry Bird / hybrid. He is a hybrid between Bird and Magic. He's got the passing, he's got the 3-point shot, he's got the fadeaways. I mean, Luka Doncic has it all. He has a way more diverse offensive skill set than James Harden. And Luka Doncic this series has played better than any of James Harden's playoff series for his career. That's how special Luka Doncic has been. There's no doubt about that. It's no accident that Luka has played his 3rd postseason, and he's 2nd in points per game in the postseason behind MJ, and it'll probably go down as the years go on. But the fact that he's averaging like 33 points in the playoffs, and given that he's already played 3 series, it's no accident how good Luka Doncic is. There's no doubt about how special he will be. I would take Luka Doncic over Chris Paul and Devin Booker for the next season 2-on-1. I really would. Luka is that amazing. He's sensational out there, and I do think that in his prime, he would probably be better than what Giannis is right now. Luka is better right now than James. No, of course. Luka Doncic, you could say that he's just as good as 2018 James Harden. His game works better in the playoffs because he's got all the tricks in the world. He's got all the pump fakes. He doesn't have to flail and throw his body around and draw those ticky-tack like nonsense fouls like what James Harden does. Luka doesn't have to do that. You know why? Because Luka has a deeper back in his game. He's got it all. I mean, Luka's so good at reading the paint and reading where his defenders are. He's just a basketball magician. He sees if the big men are not in the paint, then Luka's just going to take advantage. If a big man was out the perimeter and guarding him, Luka knows he can blow by him in his sleep, and he's just going to take it to the basket. And when there's help, he's just going to kick it out for a 3. So Luka's pretty much unstoppable. I mean, he is Super Bowl dominant, but if Luka can figure out how to play better and improve without the ball, then he would probably be one of the most complete offensive players that the game has ever seen, because he really is that good. And he's just unbelievable. Like him and Jokic, like they don't take shit from anybody. If anyone tries to act tough against them, I mean, they're just gonna annihilate them. And it's been shown, it's been proven how tough Luka Doncic and Jokic is. I mean, these European players, I mean, they're not just thankful to be in the NBA. They take over the NBA. And they're proving their case. And is there anyone that's gonna stop any international player from winning MVP? It's been 4 years now. Giannis, Jokic. Is it gonna be Doncic again? Is it? Because I don't see any of these American players outside the fact of Jason Tatum that can contend for MVPs for the next 3-4 years. Because who else is gonna who else is gonna be a threat? I mean, look at all these old guys. Like LeBron's not gonna play like 82 games. He's getting really old, even though he's still great. Kevin Durant missed way too many games, and Steph Curry's too inconsistent for Golden State. James Harden's pretty washed, and all those guys in their 30s, none of them are serious MVP contenders anymore in the regular season. I mean, Kawhi Leonard's gonna miss a shit ton of games with low management. So you have guys like Giannis, Doncic, Jokic, Embiid, and Jason Tatum. Those are the 5 guys that is probably going to be up there for the MVP race, honestly, because they're a level ahead of like the Trae Youngs and the Devin Bookers and the Donovan Mitchells. I don't see any of those guys being MVP caliber over the 5 guys that I just mentioned. And I don't see John Morant being an MVP threat because Memphis does play better defense without him. And John Morant's game, he does have to be careful because he is sometimes a little too reckless out there. And I'm concerned about his potential injuries. I hope he'll stay healthy long term, but I don't know about John Morant. He's sometimes it is kind of like nerve wracking just to see him hit the deck really hard. Gobert MVP, no chance. So those 5 guys, like 4 of them are international. I mean, Jason Tatum's gonna be the American. That's gonna stop the international MVP streak of the NBA from winning. What the? A lot of troll comments. Get out of here. Just get out of here. All these trolls. So with that, yeah, just incredible stuff for Luka Doncic. I'm gonna read my comments in a little bit. So thank you guys for staying up with me after this game. 2 game 7s in a row. I mean, how ironic. There was no game 7s in the first round, and then there's like 2 game 7s in one day, and 2 of them ended up in the blowouts. I also want to give kudos to the Boston Celtics and Grant Williams for absolutely being sensational and absolutely destroying, annihilating the Milwaukee Bucks. And no knock on Giannis on this series because Giannis didn't play that good today, but he had his looks, but I just think he was very wore down. Giannis carried Milwaukee all these games to get to this level and came up short in game 7 in the playoffs. I mean, he has like Al Horford and Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart hounding him the whole series. And Giannis, he was doing a lot of work. But the difference in this game was like Grant Williams really proved that he can be an X factor in game 7. Grant Williams kind of looked like Larry Bird out there, knocking down all these shots, and he was just unconscious. He had 25 big points, 27 points, my bad, 27 points for Grant Williams. Grant Williams outscored Brook Lopez, Wesley Matthews, Grayson Allen, and Bobby Portis combined. I mean, this Boston Celtics team, they were just too heavily matched for the Bucks. They beat Milwaukee by 28. And Giannis, I mean, he had some of his looks, but if you're going to triple team Giannis and none of your role players are going to do shit and they can't hit a shot, then the Bucks had no chance. I mean, Pat Connaughton and Grayson Allen and 35-year-old Wesley Matthews, they gave absolutely nothing. They were so bad that they were so terrible. Wesley Matthews and Grayson Allen combined went 1 of 11. And adding Pat Connaughton out there, that's going 2 of 18 from the field between these 3 players. That is gross. I mean, you got your Milwaukee Bucks role players like just not hitting any shots and not doing anything effective on the court. Plus, you got Grant Williams that scored 25 points with 7 3-pointers. And then you have guys like even Peyton Pritchard provided some spark. He had 14 points. Most of the minutes he played was blowouts. But if Peyton Pritchard outplayed Grayson Allen and Wesley Matthews in that game, yeah, Boston, they were just too good for Giannis. I mean, having a guy like Jason Tatum in game 6 who had the game of his life, he outscored Giannis in that game. There's a reason why Jason Tatum also is first team All-NBA caliber, and he probably will be first team for the next couple of years. JT's been amazing. Being able to hold his ground against Giannis, going at it with Kevin Durant, and even as a rookie, he went at it with LeBron James when LeBron was in his offensive prime. Jason Tatum at 20 years old at the time, he actually went at it in game 7, and he was the only Celtic that showed up in game 7 as a rookie. As a rookie, though, I mean, and that Celtic team wasn't as good as this Celtic team because Jason Tatum is first team All-NBA caliber, arguably a top 5 player in the league. seeing how good he's been. You can't take anything away from what Jason Tatum's accomplished for this team. He's also all NBA defensive team caliber. If anyone watched the Boston Celtics this season, Jason Tatum, his defense has been electric. He's a better defensive player right now than Kevin Durant. I don't even think it's close. And his defense might be even as good as Kawhi. We'll see what happens when Kawhi comes back, but not San Antonio Kawhi, no way. I mean, San Antonio Kawhi has some of the best defense, but Clippers Kawhi, you could argue with Jason Tatum there. Jason Tatum's been a true baller since day one, and he's a superstar. He's sensational. If Jason Tatum ends up winning a championship as a 24-year-old, potentially finals MVP, Jason Tatum, man, I mean, can you make the case Jason Tatum over Joel Embiid if Jason Tatum wins the title? I mean, the only guys that are clearly better than him right now is Giannis, I mean, Jokic, and Doncic. I mean, Joel Embiid's a better regular season player, and he's been sensational, but Embiid can't stay healthy. I honestly would rather Jason Tatum over Embiid for the next 5 years, given the status of the health and given how Embiid gets hurt like in the wrong time. Jason Tatum, he's already played more playoff games than Dame Lillard. He's had so much experience as a 24-year-old. I mean, Jason Tatum is really going to go down as one of the 5 best players, arguably, for the next 10 years. He's just been sensational. And remember when there was a comparison between Jason Tatum and Josh Jackson? Can you believe that? It's like comparing Michael Jordan to Sam Bowie. And the Philadelphia 76ers are looking dumb as shit for taking Markelle Fultz over Jason Tatum, because Tatum has proved himself as the best player in that draft by a mile. He's way better than Donovan Mitchell or Lonzo Ball or De'Aaron Fox. Just like how Luka Doncic has proven to be the best player in his class over Trae Young and DeAndre Ayton. So kudos to the Boston Celtics, and kudos for Giannis for having a great series. Giannis balled out. And this series, I don't take anything away from Giannis because he was really shorthanded. Chris Middleton averaged 24 points a game against Brooklyn last playoffs, and the Bucks needed Chris Middleton's production, every ounce of him, in 2021 against the Nets. And Chris Middleton balled out in Game 7. He had like 23 points, and 11 of those points came in the fourth quarter. So Chris Middleton, he's one of the Bucks closers because Giannis's game, he doesn't have the best jump shot, and he's missed a lot of open shots, and his three-pointer is still a little iffy. And Giannis is not going to take many mid-range shots and just going to J you like how Chris Middleton does. I mean, Giannis is a great all-around player with his passing, and he's unstoppable down low. But Chris Middleton's the type of guy who has like the 2-dribble pull-up jump shot, like how Kawhi Leonard does it. That's what makes the Milwaukee Bucks so effective if they had Chris Middleton. And I honestly do believe the Bucks would have repeated, looking at it right now, that Giannis was still able to take Boston to 7, and they could have came back in Game 6. And Game 4 was really close, but Boston had heart. I do think that with Chris Middleton, they would have beaten the Celtics in 6 games because Chris Middleton, he's pretty good on D, and at least he has the same size as Jason Tatum. And the Celtics would have had one more 20-plus point score to worry about. So you have Giannis, if he wasn't scoring 40-something points, and then Jrue Holiday's missing a lot of shots, and no other guy can create their own shot for Milwaukee, they were not going to win this series long-term against Boston. The fact that it was even a 7-game series, I had Boston winning as soon as I knew Middleton wasn't going to play, but this was not a surprise at all. It was not a surprise. If Giannis was able to win this series, though, it would have elevated him so much more, but one guy can only do so much against a championship contender team. So if you have one superstar guy with shorthanded, missing your second best player, and then you're playing one of the best defensive teams, it's just not going to look good. Think about the 2008 Celtics. I mean, LeBron James could not be in by himself. Kobe Bryant couldn't beat that team with Pau Gasol playing soft. So good teams with great defenses, having superstar players, those are championship caliber teams. And the Boston Celtics, I do say that the Boston Celtics will beat the Miami Heat because Jason Tatum, he's a better player than Jimmy Butler right now at this moment. And I do think guys like Jaylen Brown, I don't think Tyler Hero or Vic Oladipo can guard Jaylen Brown. And Marcus Smart is going to make it really hard on Kyle Lowry. I mean, Marcus Smart played really good defense against Kyle Lowry in past postseasons, and Kyle Lowry has just been a self of himself. And I just don't think Duncan Robinson can play in a series against Boston because Boston, I mean, a couple years ago, they were inconsistent with Kemba Walker being a liability, and Miami was Goran Dragic was able to shit on Kemba, but you can't shit on any Boston Celtic anymore. You can't just pick on one man and just try to annihilate them because Boston, they're not hiding anyone on defense. Every one of the Boston Celtics starters could play D at a high level. Marcus Smart, Defensive Player of the Year. Jaylen Brown, pretty good two-way guy. Jason Tatum, pretty good. And Grant Williams, very underrated on defense. He's got a big body. He played really well on Giannis too on D. And Grant Williams, I mean, he's like 6'7", like maybe 230. He's built like a football player too. And Al Horford, he has one of the best help defense in the game. So I see a struggling series for Miami, and Bam Adebayo's gonna have to cook. But I just see the way how Jason Tatum's playing right now and just having this tough aggression and that fiery attitude, I see a lot of things special coming for Jason Tatum. Damn, these spams. These spams are really annoying. Really annoying. So with that, the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat, I have Boston winning that series in 6 games. In 6 games, because if Jaylen Brown and Jimmy Butler's gonna go at it, and Jaylen Brown can play as good as Jimmy Butler, I just think Jason Tatum has all the confidence in the world. I do think that this is his time. I mean, the guy's a proven winner. This is his third conference finals in his fifth NBA season. So 3 conference finals already in 5 years. And Jason Tatum lost in those conference finals. He lost in a heartbreaking fashion to prime LeBron in 2018, where he played well. And he also lost to Miami in the bubble because Kemba Walker was such a liability, and he got blocked by Bam Adebayo. I believe that was game 1. So that was a big game changer. And the Celtics was pretty inconsistent. But this Boston Celtics team is so much better. And the Miami Heat team, they're really good too, but being Jimmy Butler being your best player, I just don't see him being in the same conversation as Jason Tatum, because Jason Tatum's arguably top 5, if not top 10. Jimmy Butler's still like top 15. I mean, he's in the Devin Booker category and Donovan Mitchell. Jimmy Butler sometimes can play really hot and play sensational, but he just has way too many games where he's just inconsistent. And because of having Al Horford back for Boston, remember, Boston did not have Al Horford in 2020 when they went up against Miami. And I do think that Al Horford will play good defense on Bam Adebayo. So I see Boston winning that series. I see Golden State beating Dallas. As great as Luka Doncic is, I just don't see Luka beating the firepower of Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, and even Andrew Wiggins. I mean, Golden State's going to draw a lot of bodies on Doncic. They'll have Wiggins guard him, and then they'll have Klay guard him, and sometimes they'll have Draymond guard him. And Golden State just has so many guys that are just committed. They might even play Jonathan Kuminga. They might even guard Doncic. So, I mean, Luka's not going to beat them by himself. I do think Luka can win a couple games against Golden State for sure, but Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie will need to ball out. And Jalen Brunson, he would need to attack Steph Curry, because if you got Andrew Wiggins or Draymond guarding Doncic, you got to have Jalen Brunson just trying to wear down Steph Curry and just use his physical body to wear Steph down. And also Spencer Dinwiddie off the bench. He's going to have to play as well as Jordan Poole, because Jordan Poole, he's been incredible, but he's also a heat check guy too. Jordan Poole does struggle some games, and because Golden State, I see them struggling at times. I see them struggling. Like even against Memphis, there were times that they struggled, and I didn't think that they were as good. And even against Denver too, they struggled game 5 before coming back. I mean, Memphis without John Morant has no closer. I mean, the Nuggets, they're one of the worst teams in the league without Jokic. So I do say that Golden State, they have somewhat of an easy path to the finals again, believe it or not. I mean, Kevin Looney, Dwight Powell will have his hands full against Kevin Looney and his rebounding efforts. So Jason Kidd's really got to dig deep in the series. So I really don't see Dallas beating Golden State. I do see Golden State winning, beating Dallas. and I see Golden State winning that one in 7. I because Dallas defense is good, Golden State's not gonna play well every game. I see Doncic having a sensational series, but he's gonna have a pretty tough time, especially against like Draymond and all those guys. And I do think he'll have more success than Jokic because Jokic is kind of like a slow guy. His offensive moves are more predictable. Doncic just has a deeper bag than Jokic offensively in terms of his moves and what he's able to do. I do think if Doncic is able to draw a lot of fouls and Jalen Brunson can just attack and get Golden State in foul trouble, Dallas can make this a competitive series. But because of the firepower of Golden State being so experienced and just having multiple guys that can score 30 or 40 points, and you have like 3 guys that can hit 8 threes in on any given night and they can get super hot. I just don't see Dallas matching that level of intensity and offensive firepower. That's why I have Golden State winning. But in the NBA Finals, who do I have winning between Boston and Golden State? Right now, I'm not going to make my official decision yet because we got to see more. I mean, I predicted the Suns were going to win this title, but I was wrong. I was an absolute travesty for believing that the Suns were going to win this title. I'm leaning towards Boston because I see some vengeance attitude in this Boston Celtics. I do see that. Imagine if the finals is going to be Heat Mavericks. How crazy would that be? 2006, 2011, and 2022. That would be one of the most random finals. Man, like Heat Mavs in 2006. Like it was crazy that in 2006 that San Antonio didn't make the finals because it was the Lakers and Spurs making the finals in the West for so many years from 99 to like '05, and then all of a sudden San Antonio gets knocked off and it's not going to be San Antonio. So '06, I just thought it was fascinating to see a team like San Antonio not make the finals. That was also a great second round series as well. None of the Suns players even scored a dozen points in game 7. They were terrible, man. They were absolutely terrible. And watching the NBA for pretty much like 20 years now, I have a lot of absolute travesty of predictions. I should be better than that because I used to predict a lot of NBA champions. Like I predicted the '05 Spurs and the '06 Heat. I predicted the '07 Spurs. Like I was one of the few people that thought San Antonio would beat Dallas or Phoenix. A lot of my friends had the Suns. In '08, I predicted the Celtics right away. In '09 and 2010, I predicted the Lakers because I saw how great Kobe was. In 2011, I did not guess Dallas. 2012 and 13, I saw Miami winning. 2014, I forgot who I had winning. I think I might have had OKC that year. And 2015, I had Golden State winning that after seeing them how good they were in the regular season. And pretty much my predictions were pretty good. But this year and last season, I was off. Last season, I predicted the Nets, but of course they were injured and whatnot. I mean, and then 2020, I predicted the Clippers. I was wrong. So I actually been wrong for like 4 years in a row. Last time I was right was 2018 Golden State, but I'm sure 99% of you in this chat had Golden State in 2018. 2019, I predicted Houston in 2019, and man, CP3 failed me 2 fucking times. I mean, I really thought Houston was gonna win it in 2019. I thought they were gonna beat Golden State, and I was wrong. In 2020, I really thought the Clippers were gonna win it, and I should have known better because it's Doc Rivers. In 2021, I thought the Nets were gonna win it. Like right after they had Harden, like I thought they were gonna win it without a doubt, but I was wrong about that. And 2022, I was dead wrong. And if Dallas goes on to win a title, 95% of people out there will be wrong. So even the biggest experts were wrong. Well, good for Kevin for having the 2019 Raptors winning because I didn't know if they were going to beat Philly. I knew that was going to be a bloodbath of a series. 2019, who did I think I had Houston beating Milwaukee in 2019. That was when the Harden and Giannis MVP debate was like heavy. It was super heavy. I thought they were going to meet in the finals, but I thought Golden State was going to get lackadaisical because they made so many finals, but I was wrong about that. I was wrong. Frank Ntilikina, he's been doing much better. He's been doing much better. So with that, I'm gonna answer some questions on the chat. I've been talking for an hour now. I put more energy into my live reactions than the Phoenix Suns in Game 7. If Nash called out Simmons, Simmons gonna request a trade. Yep. Being a Kardashian and Jenner will ruin your career. Yep. Some dude dated one of the Kardashians when I was on vacation in Cabo, and he tried to fucking act tough with me, but cursed him out. Didn't do shit. So I'm not gonna tell you that whole story. Pretty fascinating. Kidd was a big point guard. Yep, absolutely. I mean, Jason Kidd was like, I mean, his defense was kind of like Drew Holiday, but he was also one of the best passers all time. He had Drew Holiday level type defense, but his assists were through the roof. I mean, Drew Holiday doesn't have that passing ability Jason Kidd has. And Jason Kidd was never a good shooter, but he was never afraid to take the big shots. And you have to credit Jason Kidd for willingness to take 3-pointers because Kidd was considered a terrible shooter in the beginning of his career. And I believe Jason Kidd finished top 5 in threes made when he retired. I mean, he's obviously not top 5 on that list anymore, but during the time Kidd retired, I do think that he was like top 4 or 5 in 3-pointers made. He might have even been third. So that's how good Jason Kidd was. So he was able to adapt and knock down clutch shots late in his career. So you have to give kudos to Jason Kidd for being the great player that he is. Young players being able to grow since they aren't any super teams anymore is good for the young players. I mean, it just shows that you don't need super teams to win a championship. And guys that keep on depending on super teams, man, like they're just gonna keep losing. Think about the Nets. Think about the Lakers this year. 0 fucking playoff wins for the Nets and Lakers. In a blowout Game 7, Phoenix not making the conference finals. Yeah, the Warriors. You think the Warriors win in 6? Yeah, they're a better team than Dallas. There's no question. Luka is better right now. Larry Bird was better at 23. I don't know about that. Like Luka Doncic was sensational. Larry Bird wasn't a rookie until he was 23. And yeah, it's debatable. It's debatable. But Larry Bird did lead his Boston Celtics team to 61 wins at age 23, and I believe he lost to Dr. J in the conference finals. So Larry Bird was able to lead his team in the conference finals, and I do think Bird will probably have a better prime than Doncic, but Doncic is going to have the longevity, most likely, because Bird didn't play for that many years. Is Luka already a top 75 player? He's getting there. He's getting there for sure. He's way better than Devin Booker for his career, better than Donovan Mitchell and all those guys. Kate Cunningham or Mobley. I got Mobley. No, Donovan Mitchell's not. Donovan Mitchell's defense has been shit. He's nowhere near the Jason Tatum level, honestly. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell's got a. He's like a. Donovan Mitchell's like a wealthy man version of Westbrook. I mean, I guess I can use it into those terms. I mean, yeah, he's like a wealthy man's version of Westbrook, but that's not saying much in the playoffs. I mean, the NBA is in good hands right now. Really good hands. All these great young players, Tatum and Doncic. I mean, all these talk shows like Undisputed and First Tick, they should just shut the hell up about LeBron and Durant and Steph and talk more about Jason Tatum, Luka, and all those guys. I mean, but you know what the sad thing is? Like, First Tick's probably gonna talk about LeBron more over the next 3 weeks than mention Jason Tatum's name. And Jason Tatum's in the conference finals. When are they going to talk about the Heat too? I mean, that's another team that they don't talk about. Obsessed with all the Laker drama. Oh, CP3 going to the Lakers rumors. Like, get out of here with that. Billy King. Ha! Yeah, Billy King should be ashamed of himself. I think my worst take this season was picking Phoenix to win it all. I don't think it get any worse than that after that Game 7 beatdown. The Bucks need to invest in a two guard that can score and defend. I mean, they need a secondary playmaker on that team. Like Drew Holiday's a defensive specialist, but Drew Holiday's not the type of guy that you want taking 20 shots a game. His jump shot's still very iffy. He can get inside and go down low, but if they have another extra playmaker, like Giannis is the best playmaker right now too. He can't be doing everything, and yeah, they need a better version, a bigger upgrade than Grayson Allen because Grayson Allen was shit in Game 7. He was really bad. Bucks also don't have PJ Tucker. Yeah, they missed him bad. They call him Asin Kid. Asin Kid. With the J without the J. I mean, Jason Kidd. I mean, if Ben Simmons had even 1% of Jason Kidd's work ethic, if he even had 1%, Ben Simmons would be a top 15 player right now. But you know why he's not? Because Ben Simmons soft and he's weak-minded and he's a prima donna and he's a diva. That's why Ben Simmons. That's why he hasn't played in over a year. I do. Giannis, you still think Giannis best player? I still think he is too. But if Luka can beat Golden State, man, that conversation could shift. Who cares about the Lakers? They're not relevant. Do you see a scenario where Miami beats Boston? I do. I do. I could see it, but it's gonna take 7 games. I don't think Boston's gonna get dominated. If Miami beats them, they're gonna have to do it with their defense too, and they better pray that guys like Jason Tatum gets cold. But I just think Boston at this point they're like so locked in. Miami's obviously hungry too, though. But Jimmy Butler's gonna play like the bubble Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo's too inconsistent too. I mean, he's too inconsistent. He's really gonna lock down the paint. But if Al Horford's making his impact, I do see that Al Horford having like a Jason Kidd type impact, like when Kidd was 38 years old with Dallas in 2011. That was like the last time Jason Kidd like was really an impactful player in the NBA when he was locking down defense. He was hitting threes, and he was guarding guys from like Kobe to LeBron and D Wade in the finals. Jason Kidd, like in 2011, he might have not have been as good, but he made a strong impact without looking at the box score. And now Horford makes those type of impacts too. Derek White, yeah, Derek White trade was underrated. And you know what? Derek White, he had as many shots today as Grayson Allen and Wesley Matthews combined. Yeah, Jason Kidd was washed after 2011. Kidd was 38 years old at the time, though. He was getting old. He was up there. Like, Jason Kidd didn't look that good in '08 when CP3 busted his ass in that New Orleans Dallas series. But now, like 14 years later, Kidd busted his ass because of his excellent coaching. Luka will never be better than Curry. I think he will be. Don't hate on me for saying that. Like Steph Curry wasn't even relevant at 23 years old. Luka Doncic, he's better than Steph Curry right now. There's no doubt about that. Like Steph Curry on this Dallas team, I don't think he could carry them and beat this Suns team like that. Like Luka is just bigger. He's a better passer. He's tougher to defend. And Steph Curry, although he's great, he needs the right players around him, like Draymond. And you need guys that are in the same page with Steph Curry's that's just gonna set screens and guys who just do all the little, willing to do the little things. But Steph Curry can't carry a team by himself the same way Luka is. Luka's just too good. I don't think the Suns will get through that hump. CP's gonna be 38. Aiton might not even come back. If Phoenix lose Aiton, he was such a big part to that regular season Suns team. Like, who else is gonna step up? Like Jamel McGee. Is Jamel McGee a free agent? I have to look that up too. The NBA should stop handing out rookie of the years to players drafted the previous years. I do agree with that. I mean, there could be some guys that that gets drafted, like let's say international guys that gets drafted at age 20, but they want to play ball overseas for a couple more years, and then they don't make the league until 23, and then they end up winning like rookie of the year at age 23. I don't think that's like fair either. Like Nikola Mirotic almost won rookie of the year, and I think he was drafted a couple years before actually playing a game in the league. And you take Doncic away from Dallas, and Dallas is irrelevant. I mean, Golden State can still win a shit ton of games without Curry. I mean, there's so many times that Curry just struggled, but Jordan Poole scores like 30 points and Klay Thompson just goes off. I mean, Golden State, they didn't have, they were banged up all season long. Like, Draymond Green was hurt in the second half of the year. Clay didn't come back until like mid-January. I mean, the team had a bunch of injuries, and now when they're getting it together, they're really good. JaVale was underrated in 2020. Yeah, he was very underrated. They probably should have started him tonight over DeAndre No-Show Ayton. If Denver was healthy this year, them and Golden State probably would have went 7. Shaq pokes fun of JaVale McGee. Yep. And at least Shaq has 4 rings and JaVale still has 3. So JaVale needs 1 more to tie Shaq. But JaVale McGee's a pretty good player, though. I mean, who you 20 years from now, who do you guys think will be more remembered for their careers? JaVale McGee, a role player who won 3 championships, but he was effective at the latter part of his career, or DeAndre Jordan, who was a former All-Star because of CP3, but he's washed for the last 4 years. Who do you think will be remembered most in 20 years, JaVale or DeAndre? Because McGee is younger and he's way better than DJ right now, and that's not even close. No doubt, JaVale. DeAndre Jordan's probably gonna go down as like the worst All-Star, one of the worst All-Stars like all time. Like you look at the 2010s decade and you see like kids like that are like 5 years old right now. By the time they're teenagers, they're gonna look up like basketball reference, like who made first team at center on 2016. You're like DeAndre Jordan. Like what the fuck? Like dude, DeAndre Jordan made first team All NBA in like 2016, and Joel Embiid can still never make first team because of Jokic. And Joel Embiid's 100 times better than DeAndre Jordan. I will never get over that. That's just a travesty. And Joel Embiid, you know what? He might never make All NBA first team because of how good Jokic is. And the fact that Jordan made it, it just makes my blood boil, man. I can't stand that. That was a terrible time for centers. Like after Roy Hibbert got washed and after Tyson Chandler got washed, that 2 year span in the NBA was like the worst I ever seen for centers. And the fact that even DeMarcus Cousins can't make first team over DeAndre Jordan in 2016 shows you how overrated DeMarcus Cousins was too. So that center era in the mid 2010s, that was terrible. And yeah, Joakim Noah was washed too. He was washed after 2015 because of all those injuries, and he was partying too hard at the meatpacking district in New York. So Joakim, party animal legend, but he didn't have a very long career. D'Angelo Russell needs to be a 6th man and go somewhere else. He ain't it. He's just not that good. I don't even think D'Lo's top 40. I mean, what about a sign and trade like for? Nah, is that gonna work? Nah, I don't think Dallas would want a sign and trade for Brunson and D'Lo because Brunson's gonna get paid, man. He's gonna get paid. Jarrell Shaq did the fool. The whole Phoenix Suns and Los Angeles Lakers and Brooklyn Nets shacking the fool. Like, look at how many old players this season got ridiculed and tarnished and getting just destroyed and getting roasted. Like, it started with Russell Westbrook, and then after that, it was James Harden with all those Brick Ross references, and then it was Kevin Durant for getting locked up by Boston, and then it was Kyrie half a season, Irving. So you got a lot of these old guys, and now it's Chris Paul getting roasted too for playing like shit in Game 7 and getting destroyed. So you have these 5 guys that are getting roasted this year. And then LeBron. LeBron was still great this year, but he was getting roasted for his stat padding, on the 33-win Laker team. And if somehow Steph Curry doesn't play well against Dallas or in the finals against Boston or Miami, Steph Curry's probably going to get roasted too. Klay Thompson got roasted a bunch. He's been inconsistent. And I do see that Jaylen Brown, I do think he's a better player than Klay Thompson right now. I think that's going to be a hell of a series, man. Boston, Golden State. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself because there's a bunch of great basketball games to be played. Dallas, Golden State in Wednesday night, and then Boston, Miami. So the only old legend that could potentially win a championship this year is Steph Curry. He might get his 4th, but the 23-year-old Luka Doncic has a lot to say about that. Jimmy Butler, if he wins a championship with Miami this year, that would be one of the most fascinating stories because Jimmy Butler's not viewed like a superstar like all these other guys, and Miami is definitely not a super team. I mean, I don't consider Tyler Hero. He's a good 6th man, but I don't think he's all-star caliber yet. I do think Jimmy Butler's like a top 15 guy. Bam Adebayo's probably like a top 20-ish guy, and Tyler Hero's probably like a top 40 player, but that's not a super team. So if Miami's able to win it, or if Boston's able to win it with Tatum and Brown, or if Dallas is able to win it and Golden State doesn't win it, and it would be excellent for the NBA to win it without having a super team. Because Golden State, would you still consider them a super team anymore? Because, I mean, Steph Curry, obviously, still superstar. I mean, Draymond Green plays like an all-star at times if everyone's playing. But without Steph Curry, Draymond Green kind of ain't shit. So Draymond Green, he can't be like a star on a bad team. He would have no impact. But with great players, Draymond has a lot of impact on those teams. So he's a do-it-all type of guy. He impacts the game like Al Horford in a way. So would you even say Golden? Yeah, I guess Golden State super team. Klay Thompson's not a star quality player anymore, although he can be great at certain points. And Game 6, Klay can drop 30, but Klay's just been too inconsistent. He doesn't have that defense like he used to. And let's be honest, Andrew Wiggins is not all-star material. I mean, he had a great bounce back season. He proved that he can be a great player on a winning team, but there's a lot of guys that are better than Andrew Wiggins that should have made the All-Star team in the Western Conference. The fact that Wiggins made it as a starter was just crazy, but he's just on and off and lackadaisical at times. And Jordan Poole, he might be an All-Star in the future. So Golden State, I mean, they have guys like Klay kind of declining, but they got guys like Jordan Poole who's kind of like rising. And Andrew Wiggins is a better player than Harrison Barnes when he was there in 2015 and 16. And Kawhi Looney's in his prime. I mean, he's one of the most underrated players. Like Kawhi Looney's impact, I would say, reminds me of like a Udonis Haslem type spark when Haslem was much younger with the Miami Heat back in the mid 2000s and in the early 2010s. So like Kawhi Looney's one of those glue guys that are just gonna get a lot of rebounds and just play hard and be an unsung hero. Golden State not a super team, just a good team who knows each other. That's a fair point. I mean, Golden State, I would say like they were 100% a super duper team with Kevin Durant. But right now, I don't know if Klay Thompson's gonna ever make an All-Star team again, or Wiggins, or maybe Draymond's not, because they are getting much older. I mean, they just got excellent chemistry. So in my opinion, Golden State and Boston have the 2 best chemistries left in the league. Like, I thought Phoenix had great chemistry, but they fucking shit the bed. So that was just disappointing. Gary Payton's gonna be out until probably the finals, and he was the best perimeter defender, one of them. I think he's still out for at least probably like 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, they have pretty good chemistry, but they're inconsistent. They got a lot of good role players to step up, but for Miami, can you really play guys like Matt Strus or Duncan Robinson? Duncan don't even play anymore, and he's making 90 mil. Can Matt Strus, like, is he going to be a 30-minute-a-game guy for the Heat, like in the conference finals and potentially the finals? Because I really don't see that. I mean, they play really well together. Jesus Christ, these spams. My God. YouTube's got to control this type of stuff. They got to control this type of stuff. So lots of interesting stuff. And the fact that it's the conference finals, why the hell hasn't the NBA fucking announced the all NBA teams this like right now? Like, what's taking them so long to announce it? Like, why? Why? Like they should have announced the first, second, and third teams like a while ago. Why didn't they announce it like that? Like, damn. Like we all know that the first team's gonna be like it's gonna look bad for Devin Booker that he's like the NBA is gonna probably announce next week that he'll make first team All NBA because I do think it's gonna be Booker, Doncic, Tatum, Jokic, and Giannis. And the fact that the NBA hasn't announced it, does anyone even care who's gonna be on first team anymore? Like, does anyone even care about that? Like, nah, it's irrelevant at this point because people talking about the playoffs first team, and the playoffs first team is obviously Luka Doncic and Giannis. Even though Giannis lost today, Giannis has been sensational in the playoffs against the Celtics because he was playing out of his mind. And like in these like big games, like Giannis is almost guaranteed like every other game that he can drop 40 when needed. That's how unstoppable he's been. Luka Doncic too. So you have those guys. Yeah, they are not announcing everything makes it whack. It is whack. They used to announce that in the middle of the first round. Like I remember that. Like in like 2004, they announced like first team All NBA. Like when I was watching Game 4 of that Rocket of the Lakers Rockets game on ABC. Like I remember that game like it was yesterday. That was the day that they announced like All NBA team, and I remember it was they announced Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, and I believe like Jason Kidd. That was like '04. I'm not even looking up right now. I'm just remembering on top of my head. And they had like Jermaine O'Neal making second team too. And I believe like Sam Cassell made third team. And I was so hyped just seeing that like in the first round. Like, oh, the regular season was over just like a week or two ago. And they finally announced it. So it's good. But dude, it's the fucking conference finals. Just announce that shit already. It doesn't even matter. It really doesn't even matter. Yeah, Golden State, they have a bunch of guys that could potentially win finals MVP. I mean, if Clay gets hot, Jordan Poole, if he gets hot, I mean, but it'll probably be lean towards Steph Curry. And I would say Golden State's probably the favorite to win, but don't count out Boston. Boston, they're legit. They legit. I mean, the fact that the Boston Celtics can potentially make the finals and everyone said, oh, they need a point guard to replace IT. And then they had Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie made the team worse because he's a shit teammate. And then they had Kemba over. They signed Kemba Walker to a deal. And then Kemba, he played good for a season. And then he was washed by the bubble. And then they didn't even look for like a good point guard like that. They just traded him for Al Horford, got him back. And they played Marcus Smart at the point. And I do think that Marcus Smart tries to do too much at times. Like he tries to take the ball to the hole like he's a 20-point scorer. Like that's not Marcus Smart's game. I like the fact that he's aggressive, but the fact that he's acting like he could be a star point guard and trying to take it to the hole and create shots, and then he just gets swatted by Giannis. I don't like some of those things Marcus Smart does. I don't like the fact that in Game 5, like the last two possessions, why the hell was the ball in his hands and he didn't give it to Tatum or Brown like right away? Like Marcus Smart shouldn't be the guy that's trying to make all these like hero plays because he's a role player at best. He's a great role player, great defensive player, but he shouldn't be the one that's trying to make all those plays. So that's one thing that Marcus Smart should probably try to adjust and not make some of these mistakes. Because if you're the other team, if you're Miami or Golden State or Dallas potentially, if you want a guy to beat you and knock down shots out of all the Celtics starters, you want Marcus Smart to shoot the threes and beat you, and you want Marcus Smart to try to take as many shots as he can. Because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, those are the go-to guys. So sometimes I don't understand Smart trying to make plays happen way too often. Like he should really pass the ball to Tatum or Brown more, and Smart shouldn't be making those late game plays and trying to have the ball in his hands. He should just give it up earlier. They should play Tatum at the one. I mean, Jason Tatum, he's really good off the ball too. I mean, Boston, I mean, their weakness is they don't really have that great of a playmaker. Marcus Smart is not really a true point guard. He's a great defensive player. I mean, kind of like Drew Holiday in a way. Drew Holiday is not a true point guard. They're pesky on D, but their passing is really not great. And if Jason Tatum, like Al Horford's one of the best passers on that team too. He's very underrated in passing. And if Jason Tatum can improve his passing like Giannis, we can potentially see Tatum as like one of the best players, which he is already. I mean, Jason Tatum, I do believe that he's probably the fifth best player in the league right now. He can probably elevate himself to top three. It'll be hard for him to be better than guys like Giannis or Luka or Jokic. Those guys are amazing. Like Giannis and Luka at this point being the best players, they're like almost untouchable. Like what other young guys can surpass them like that? I do believe that Doncic, after what I see, I have him over Joel Embiid, but I don't have him above Giannis just yet. I have Giannis at one. Right now, number two, who would you take? Jokic or Doncic? Because Doncic is just as good, in my opinion, and a better scorer than Jokic is. Even though Jokic is obviously more efficient and his passing is unreal as a center, I mean, Luka Doncic can go out there and drop like 45, and Jokic ain't really like that. So I think I'm leaning towards a little Doncic. In the regular season, Jokic was way better and more efficient, but Draymond really locked him up in game three. And I didn't like seeing that from Jokic. And look what Luka's done. Like this Dallas Mavericks team, if Jokic had guys like Jalen Brunson and Dinwiddie, take Doncic away from this Dallas team, and you have Jokic there with Dinwiddie and Brunson, would Jokic beat this Phoenix Suns team if you take away Doncic and have Jokic? Think about that for a minute. Just think about that, because I'm not sure. Yeah, yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think so, because Jokic got swept by this Suns team last season, and he got swept, and he still had Michael Porter Jr. So, and he got outplayed by CP3. I mean, that was the knock on Jokic. CP3 was actually the best player in that series when they swept Denver when Jokic won the MVP. And CP3 went up against Doncic this season. Doncic literally destroyed CP3. He made CP3 look like an average player out there. Like Doncic heavily outplayed Chris Paul. And last season when they were playing, like I remember some like ISO plays Chris Paul like made Jokic kind of lost too when they matched up. And Jokic couldn't even win a single game without without Murray. So I think I am leaning towards Luka Doncic a little over Nikola Jokic. I gotta see more. Like, what's he gonna do against Golden State? I mean, if Luka loses to Golden State, but he puts up LeBron caliber numbers like what LeBron did in those finals, even though they came up in L's, Luka Doncic, I could see him making the case for being the second best player in the game already at age 23, or maybe right up there with Giannis, neck and neck with Giannis. Honestly, I mean, it's really close. It really is close. I mean, these young guys, Doncic, Giannis, I mean, Jokic, and I have Embiid a little falling off a little bit. I do think that Jokic is better than Embiid just because of the consistency, and Embiid gets hurt way too often. Like, is he ever going to be fully? Is he going to be even remotely healthy for the playoffs? Because I believe, like every postseason, Joel Embiid missed at least one game in every playoffs, so he's not very durable, and he's already 28 years old in his prime. And Joel, his body just doesn't seem to last like later on. So I don't trust Joel Embiid staying healthy. I love for him to stay healthy though. Joel's a hell of a player, but I think he's missed at least one postseason game besides maybe 2020 when he got swept like every playoffs. Like Embiid missed a couple postseason games in the first round versus Miami 2018, and Joel Embiid also missed some playoff games. Did he miss any in 2019? That I don't really remember 100%. And he missed a bunch of games last season against Washington, and then he's missed a bunch of games this season. So the fact that Joel Embiid continues to miss a lot of playoff games, he played all of 2019, okay. But the fact that Joel's missed a bunch of playoff games already, I mean, I'd rather have guys like Luka Doncic or possibly Jason Tatum on Joel. And Jason Tatum shit on Joel too in 2018. In 2018. And Al Horford really played great defense on Joel. So Joel Embiid he has some inconsistent games where he needs to get better and dominate and just be strong out there. But he has to deal with James Harden, and who knows what contract he has. I don't really have hope for Philly, honestly. I mean, if James Harden's gonna sign a max deal, good luck. And Tobias Harris contract, good luck. With that said, Jay Crowder's been to 3 finals and couldn't win. That's too bad. That's too bad. Eric Dampier. I mean, Eric Dampier was on the losing finals team. Like in 2006, he was in Dallas. He lost. In 2011, he was in Miami. He lost to Dallas. So how messed up is that? Anderson Varejao, 2015 Cleveland, he lost. 2016 Golden State, he lost. That's just too bad. That's way too bad. You have those players that just loses in the finals, and then they go to the team that beats them, and then they end up losing to the team that they lost in. That's just way too bad. Yeah, Tobias and Chris Middleton, that's the same contract. Chris Middleton's better. You can't debate that. What's Tobias Harris' best playoff game? I can't even name it on top of my head. And Chris Middleton's got plenty. Can Tobias Harris score 40 in the NBA Finals game? I don't see that. I don't see that. So it's already past midnight. I've been here for an hour and a half. I'm gonna make some videos this week. I'm probably gonna continue roasting the Phoenix Suns on my next video. So just stay tuned for that. And I'm gonna be making more videos about conference finals related topics. So if you guys are new to my channel and you want to learn more about NBA history in the fastest way possible, there's no better person in the world with more NBA knowledge than Wilson Tsai. You can also follow me on Twitter at Wilson Tsai 93. And I appreciate all your support. Appreciate all of you for listening to me. And hopefully I provided some good entertainment. And with that said, the Phoenix Suns, absolute travesties. Chris Paul, absolute travesty. Devin Booker, absolute travesty. DeAndre Ayton, absolute travesty. Jay Crowder, absolute travesty. Dallas in 7. So, wish you guys have a great night's sleep. Get some good rest for Monday and buckle up for the conference finals. And there's going to be some conference finals MVPs coming up this season. So, it'll be interesting to say. So, for that, my last prediction on that, I'm going to go with Jason Tatum and Steph Curry for those awards. So, great night. See you next time. Love y'all. Peace.